Hi everyone, it's Carling, and today we're going to do a little bit of yoga for tight hamstrings. And whether that's tight hamstrings because you sit at a desk all day and work, or you travel a lot like we do and you've got long plane flights or road trips, whatever it is that means that your hamstring and back body is a little tighter than you prefer, we're just going to do a quick flow, and it's something that you can do anywhere. You don't need any props, you don't even need a mat. All you really need is a sturdy wall. It's going to be helpful, and other than that, just your body. So we're going to start in a low lunge today. And a really easy low lunge, back knee is down. And all I want you to do is start to walk your chest forward, and as you do that, wiggle that back knee back. And if your hands feel like they're a million miles away from the ground, you can prop yourself up on blocks or books, whatever you've got handy. And then lean that weight forward so that you're starting to stretch out the front of the back hip. Right? Find a little bit of movement here. And then as you lean forward, take a big inhale. And then as you take an exhale, pull that front leg straight or almost straight and flex the foot. Good, starting to go with your breath. Inhale, lean it forward. Exhale, pull it back. Good. And moving forward and back, keep your breath going. And just start to bring a little space into the legs and the hips. Right? There's no right or wrong on this. Feel your way into it, make sure it feels good. If straightening your leg all the way is really intense and not happening today, keep a little bend in the knee, it's just fine. Right? Keep the leg really active so that the quadricep is on and the hamstring can lengthen and relax as effectively as possible. Good, and then just let it flow, let it move. Let the breath sort of guide you here, as fast or as slow as you want. Faster or slow feels good today. Every day will be different. Okay, so try not to berate yourself if today it feels particularly tight. And we're not going for the most intense stretch here, right? We just want a little bit of blood flow, a little bit of movement, a couple more rounds. Good. And on your next round, all you're going to do is plant your palms and step that one foot back and come around to the other side. Right, so nothing fancy here. There's no vinyasas. There's no chaturangas. We're just sort of using our breath, semi-restorative practice even, to integrate a little bit more room and length and space into our often tired and for the most part overworked bodies. So keep using that breath, rock it forward, and then lean it back, pulling the toes back towards your face, lengthening through the hamstring and waking up the sole of the foot as well. It's funny, there's this big connection between the tightness in our feet, right, from wearing shoes or high heels or walking, and the length in our hamstrings, and subsequently the tightness in our low back. So can you find some space in each of those places? And it will help to alleviate some tightness in the others. Right, it all works together. The body is magically created to all integrate. A couple more rounds. Breathing as you come forward into lunge, exhaling as you pull back into a half splits. Inhale forward, and exhale back. Last few, inhale forward, and exhale back. And inhale forward, and exhale back. Inhale, come all the way forward, plant your palms, and then bring your left knee back, come onto hands and knees, and sit back on your heels. Good. Get off your hands and your wrists, shrug out the shoulders a few times if you were bearing a lot of weight there. And then come onto your butt and swing your legs around. So we're going to come into a nice deep forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Straighten the legs out in front of you. And as you sit down, you can use your hands to actually sort of pull the flesh away from your sit bones. It sounds weird, but you're sort of just moving that skin out from underneath your butt so you get a nice solid seat and you're not rounding. Right, so if you find yourself sitting and your back is sort of slumping, I'm going to encourage you to sit up onto something so that you get that nice tilt in the tailbone and the pelvis is more upright. So you don't need any fancy yoga props for that. You could take a pillow, if you're in a hotel room like I am traveling, and sit on the edge of the pillow. Right, so once you've got that little bit of elevation, straighten the legs and try to sit up as tall as possible. And you might stay right here, right? In Dandasana, reach the hands to the ground, maybe it's the fingertips depending on how long that reaches. And see if you can draw the shoulder blades down your back and press through the heels, lengthen the legs. Right? It's okay if they're a little bit bent or even a lot of it bent depending on your space. What I want you to envision is that length no matter what it looks like. Right? Because it doesn't matter what it looks like, it matters what it feels like. Good, sit up tall through the crown of the head like the string is pulling you up. And then take one last big inhale, sit up as tall as you can, find all that length. And on the exhale, try to keep that length. Start to crawl the hands forward. So as you crawl your hands forward, you might hit a point where your body says, that's good, right? And if that happens, go ahead and stop right there. And I want you to just keep thinking about lengthening out from the whole back body. So all the way from your heels to your hips, up through your spine, and all the way back through the crown of your head. Right, so more than just the hamstrings, we want to get the low back involved as well. If it feels really strenuous, again, bend the knees and bring the legs to you instead of humping over and reaching down for dear life. And as you lean the heart out, maybe you grab a hold of the feet, the big toes, lengthen the chest, broaden the collarbones, take a big breath in, and then exhale, try to release as much as possible. Relax the head and the neck. And taking a good solid 10 full breaths here. Noticing as you start to make your way through the breath, if you start to find a little bit of ease, if there's anywhere that might be able to soften, right? If you've been sitting at a desk all day or in a car on a long road trip, long commute, the backs of the legs, the backs of the kneecaps are going to feel a little stiff, so there's no need to force. Just let breath and gravity and the practice do a little bit of the work for you here. Halfway there, 5 more breaths. And try to keep the legs as active as possible. And breathing, inhaling. Exhaling, softening. Inhaling, creating some new space. And exhaling, moving into that new space. Last round of breath. Inhale. And this time open the mouth, exhale. Good. Start to crawl the hands right back where they came from. Sit up nice and tall. And then we're going to move into a squat. So if you've got a bolster or a blanket or a pillow, whatever it is you have underneath you for your butt to sort of help elevate in the seat, you're going to come up off of that and come onto your feet and find a squat. So if you come into a squat and you find that it's really challenging, right, because this is a difficult posture and the heels won't ground, you can use that same pillow or elevation to come tuck underneath the heels so you have something to step into and bring the floor to you. Right, once you find a decently comfortable spot, see if you can finagle your chest in between your arms, lengthen out, sit up as tall as possible. Hands might be at heart center, they might just be sort of relaxed, right, whatever feels okay for you. And take a few breaths. If this is really difficult to balance, you can do this with a wall behind you and lean your back into the wall. And you can also sit on a block so you have something to rest your butt on so you don't feel like you're holding yourself up the whole time. Right, so we want to find some ease in the hips, some ease in the low back. And as we sit in this squat, it's okay to sort of move and sway a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and set my trusty little timer for about 30 seconds so that we have a nice, long, consistent squat practice. And squatting is something that you can sort of build up to. So when you first start, it might be 10 seconds. This might be plenty, right? Your hips might be saying, that's enough, we're good. And if you start to consistently do it every day, as long as your knees feel okay with it, you can start to bump up the amount of time. Starting to integrate a little additional range of motion, mobility in the hips, which most of us could use in our daily life. And resisting the urge to tense up. See if you can relax, release a little bit. Soften the toes if they're turning white, clenching into the floor. You're almost there. And we're going to hold this squat for just a minute total today. Almost pressing the legs away from one another as you start to open up the hips. Just a really functional range of motion, nothing crazy. Last 2 breaths. Good. and then release. So go slow when you come out of this one. You can bring your hands to the floor and just gently straighten the legs. Fold over, relax the head and the neck, maybe shake it out a few times. And then set any props you have aside. And the last stretch that we're going to take is one of my most favorites. It's really intense, but it can be done anywhere. So hotel room, in a meeting room that you can sneak into in the middle of your workday, and it's lovely. So all you're going to do is you're going to come up to a wall, and you're going to take a wide-legged forward fold, but facing the wall. So this is another one I'm going to use my timer for, so I know how long I've been there. And I'm going to come up to the wall, spread my feet apart nice and wide, and then swivel down and lean my upper back against the wall. Right, so not the most graceful posture to get into, but what we want is to be able to lean ourselves against the wall enough that as we forward fold, the low back can release and my hands can relax. Right? If you feel like you need to hold yourself up, you might want to adjust the width of your legs and find a stance that feels a bit more supportive, because I want you to be able to relax the whole spine, starting the timer, and release the back of the neck, the skull. And as you lean forward, this will take the stretch a bit more into the Achilles back, so the calves, right, and then all the way up into the hamstrings. Be mindful that you don't want to feel the stretch in the backs of the kneecaps or way up in the hamstring attachments. You want it in the belly of the muscle, so belly of the hamstring or down in the calves. And again, you can bend your knees here as well if it feels really intense, so the hamstrings are shaking too much. And then, if it's available, relax the arms, the head, the neck, close the eyes. And give your weight away to the wall and relax. If you're too tense holding yourself up in this, it's going to be really difficult for the hamstrings and the low back to relax, right? Because they're clinging on for dear life. So do the best you can to find the most supportive position, no matter how wide that means your legs are or how bent they are. And find a bit of ease. Try to cultivate as much softness as possible through the whole back body. And we've got just about another 30 seconds here. We're doing 2 full minutes in this one. Keep the breath nice and full. And try to keep that blood flow moving, the oxygen circulating. Right, getting all the benefits of an inversion here, but without the work in the arms. Right, a nice restorative inversion. 5 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. 1. Inhaling and exhaling for 2. Almost there. Inhale and exhale. 3. Inhale and exhale. 4. Last full breath. Inhale and big exhale. Bring your hands underneath you and then wiggle the feet out further from the wall and come all the way down to a seat. So these are just a few poses that you can do in any space, quick, nothing crazy, but allow yourself to find a little bit of freedom in the low body, a little bit of relief for those muscles, whether you've been sitting or standing all day. And you can do it any time of day, any place. Just turn on the video. If you enjoyed this video and you want more, like and subscribe to our channel. We have new yoga videos every Tuesday, and I'll see you then. Thank you.